Being an astrophotographer is one of the most rewarding hobbies that you could ever have, but it is also one of the most frustrating. We probably have the most obstacles in front of us of any kind of hobby. We have weather. Yep, no imaging tonight. We have the cost of equipment. Yep, this stuff is pretty expensive. And those are just to name a few. So what in the world do we do? How do we keep on growing and elevating ourselves on this journey to greatness? Well, I've been thinking about this a lot myself over the holidays, and it's not getting rid of these sunglasses. They help. I've came up with a few ideas that I want to go ahead and share with you. My plans to start out 2023. I'm Chad. This is the Easy Astro Images channel. We're going to collect some photons tonight. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you all are enjoying your 2023. So over the holidays, I've spent a lot of time playing with Astro images, and I have not spent much time collecting any because we have been under clouds forever. Here in Ohio, we're lucky to get, I believe, 70 to 80 clear nights a year. So when I take a look around at my current setup and equipment and what I'm able to do, super happy with it, but we always want more, right? We want to grow. Like, I want a monochrome camera. I want these filters and all this other kind of stuff, an observatory. But what is the point in having all this stuff if you never get to use it? So there's just got to be a better way or a solution or something along those lines. So I started looking into things, and remote observatories, you know, this one here from Utah, $800 a month. I'm sure we could probably find something maybe a little bit cheaper, but you know, that's like my mortgage. So that is definitely not happening. Another thing that I've been looking into, which is definitely going to be a possibility, is doing some of this stuff on Telescope Live. Read a lot of reviews on it. People seem to be fairly happy. You know, it's just kind of is what it is. You're using other people's gear, great gear on top of mountains or whatever to collect the best data that you can to produce the images that you just can't even produce. Even if you had the equipment, you might not have the skies, so on and so forth. The other option is we have some great YouTubers out there in the community. I mean, just some fantastic ones. You know, I'm particularly calling out Joe, Glenn, James, and Luke here. And many of them offer their own data. They offer stuff if you join up with their channels for $1, $2, $3 per month. And to me, that is an excellent deal because I can get their data, test out their equipment, work on my processing skills and everything all at once. Now, I know it's just not as good as being outside and collecting your own data and all that stuff, but let's face it, once we hit start on our sequence, how many of us are really up all night watching that thing? I don't check out my telescope until the next morning when I'm hoping that it's pointing at its home position and it's captured beautiful data for me all night long. And of course, the best part of all this is usually their data sets are going to come with a video that they produced themselves. So they might have tips and tricks on there on how to process the data, the images, things they wish they had done better, all the details, all that kind of stuff, what PIXINSIGHT processes they're using at the time, because we know that stuff changes like on the daily. For me, it's just a win-win with this free data or YouTube membership. You know, I have a large RC YouTube channel here, well, larger than this one, and you know, supporting other YouTube creators for a small fee, less than a coffee per month, is something that's great. I get a lot of support on my RC channel. Maybe one of these days I will earn your support here on this astronomy channel, but it's all about helping out the community. And I think that the more people that are willing to do this, the better off it is. I know a lot of people are very protective of their data. You know, they've worked hard to get it. They've spent a lot of money. Why should they give it away or at a discount? I mean, I think, hey, you're going to get a little bit of extra money back on it. So why would you not want to do that? Some people might not even realize that they can do that. So there's always that as well. But we are living in this crazy world where, you know, people don't want to be, you know, copyrighted or counterfeited per se. Like, I don't use Astro bin. I don't do anything with my Astrophotos except post some of them to Facebook, which really makes my friends and family happy. And any of you that see me use your data here and I talk about your data, just remember that you had a hand in making their day. During the COVID times, my astrophotography pictures were one of the very few things that were on anybody's Facebook feed that wasn't like doom and gloom. So when it comes to throwing my support behind the certain channels, you've already seen me call out some of them specifically. Now, Joe and Glenn, I have to call out definitely specifically here, because if it was not for their amazing tutorials that they did on rebuilding their EQ6R, I would not be a happy Chad. Thanks to their videos that they did and the time that they took on those videos, I was able to upgrade all the bearings in my EQ6R, bring it back to life, make it better than it was before. So Joe is going to get the first call out here, actually, because ironically, one of the last images that I just worked on was the Lion Nebula, and I did a video on it. I will put it up here in the corner. It was shot, of course, with the 2600 Red Cat dual narrowband filter. This picture of Joe's is almost, you know, kind of the same gear, except with that amazing monochrome version and his awesome filters and his beautiful Colorado skies. So let's hop in here to PIXINSIGHT and let's take a look at the bitter comparison of his reality versus my reality. So here in all of its glory is my Lion Nebula that I created, which I had an amazing time working on this picture. All these awesome fun processes and stuff like that that we've got to play with and learn with, the star reduction, the narrowband processing, all that stuff. Super happy with this. It was a very good learning experience as far as things I covered in a previous video that have made, I think, my own personal images a lot better over the past couple months, and the techniques I will be using in the future. But let's just have a quick look here at what I did with Joe's data. I mean, look at that right there. Look how amazing it is. All of the different oxygen signal, everything else, the detail, just everything is beautiful. I played with a lot of different processes and playing around and stuff, as you can see here on the PIXINSIGHT screen. So Joe's Lion, my Lion. Both beautiful in their own unique way, but this is just an example of how much fun you can have with this stuff. And you also learn a lot too. You know, I've never processed an actual narrowband image before. So, you know, all those videos that you watch that you don't think you'll ever use again, you go back and watch over and over. And as I said before, we all know how PIXINSIGHT is evolving on the daily. So trying to figure out how to incorporate the new processes or new plugins into an older workflow is cool. And it also makes you appreciate just how far the software development has came in the past year or two. The other thing that's cool too is just actually scoping out like what the equipment can do. You know, if we take a look at, let's take a look at this HA frame of Joe's here. And, you know, when I think about my images and how the stars and stuff look, you know, from corner to corner, and then I look at his, you know, I see just how imperfect my equipment is and how much I am relying on software to actually make the images look better and manipulate them and everything else. Now, most of it really has to do with the fact that, you know, he has an observatory and a pier, and he has just perfect polar alignment. He's got excellent mount and everything, where, you know, my stuff is pretty decent for an amateur guy that rolls his stuff out into his driveway. But I believe my Lion Nebula and a lot of these images were shot with on the AVX mount, which performs great, which will guide amazing for a 5 or 10 minute exposure. The problem is that when it skips to the next frame, you realize that this thing is kind of hunkering back and forth. So, you know, your stars are always going to be elongated. You're losing fine detail and resolution as well. So once again, big shout out to Joe for just collecting some amazing data. I've got more of his that I'm going to be working on, and everybody else's. I have been learning and playing with stuff on this PIXINSIGHT so much for the past 4 or 5 days. It's just been an amazing, mind-blowing experience, and I felt like sharing that first one with you. So let me know what you guys think. You know, what do you think about using other people's data, remote data, that kind of stuff? I definitely think it is a go. Support your fellow members. Try some of their stuff out. Try out their equipment. Everybody have a great time. So we will see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot for all the support, and peace.